probably about 1989, and I was going through a bit of a crisis. My mom was well into her second bout with breast cancer. I was a student at Oakwood College, and I'm trying to make it on my own. Prior to that time, she almost single-handedly was responsible for putting me, my brother, and my sister through college. And, I wanted to take a little bit off of her plate and just kind of be responsible for myself. Not knowing fully how tough that task is as a student, trying to manage your life, trying to manage your finances, trying to manage being a student and being a good student, all of those things at the same time. I'd spent a summer in California prior to coming back to college, which was not a very good experience. But what I didn't know when I got back was my roommate, who I was sharing an apartment with at the time, for some reason decided it was a good idea to charge up my house phone, which I left in my name. And when I got back to attorneys and collection agencies and the phone company calling me almost repeatedly, sending me letters wanting to collect their $1,100 that he charged up on my phone. Now I'm just getting back. I don't have a job as a student. I have to figure out how I'm gonna manage this. So there's that. And because of that, every month it seems like I'm late with rent. And on top of that, I have to re-register for school. I have to apply for a Pell Grant. I have to apply for all of my school finances to get back into school so that I can finish. And that whole time for me was very difficult to manage my way through all of that. And on top of that, I'm concerned about my mom. I remember praying a lot. And I remember asking God to help me a lot. And I don't remember getting the answers that you would expect from a God who says he loves you. There was no shortage of students on campus who had testimonies that when you hear them, you think, wow, God did that for you. And then you look at your own life and you realize, he hasn't done that for me. What's different between this person's issues and my issues? Am I not important to him? Am I less important to him? And I remember feeling like the weight of the world was on my shoulders and there was no way that I could find relief. And I got to my apartment and I walked in, I closed the door, there was nobody else there. My roommates were at school. And I closed the blinds, I turned off all the lights. I just sat down on the floor in the kitchen. I can see it as clear as day, with the blinds closed and the lights out. And I told God how I was feeling. And I said to him, I've been in this church all my life since I was 1 year old, and I know the stories. I know all of the things you've done for all of the characters in the Bible that we all know about, for Moses, for Daniel, for David, for Gideon, for Paul, for Jesus, for the apostles, for Ruth, for Esther, for Noah, how you led all of these people, in Scripture. I hear all of the testimonies of the things that you've done for many of my classmates, how you got them out of this situation and that situation, and you've bless them immensely. What about me? Am I somebody that you have forgotten about? Am I someone who doesn't matter to you anymore? Am I already lost and you've turned your back on me? I need an answer from you now, or somebody's gonna find me in this apartment and I'm not gonna be alive. So here's what's gonna happen. I told him what I wanted. I said, I'm gonna take this Bible and I'm gonna open this Bible. And the very first verse my eyes fall upon had better be an answer from you, or we're through. And I also gave him another stipulation. I said, I don't want it to be one of those flowery verses like John 3:16, or ask and you shall receive, or I am with you always. I want it to be a verse that I've never seen before, but that speaks to where I am right now. And I remember thinking, there's no way in the world he's going to answer that prayer. There's no way in the world he could. And I closed my eyes and I grabbed my Bible and I opened it and I looked down. And my eyes fell on Jeremiah 32, verse 26. And it said, and the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And I closed the Bible and I started crying. And I have tried many times since then to open the Bible and fall on that verse, or fall on any verse that was a promise from God. And I haven't been able to do it since. And so when people ask me what's my favorite verse today, it's always Jeremiah 32, 26 and 27. Because even though the verse that I came upon was a question, I knew the answer to that question. And that verse has gotten me through many things since then. It was the first time that I recall that I felt like he actually heard me, and that he was actually there with me to remind me that whatever I'm going through, whatever my disappointments, whatever my frustrations, whatever my fears were, they were not too hard for him to get me through it. They were not too hard for him to handle. And I remember getting up and I opened the blinds. It didn't solve my problems right away. I still had to deal with the issues that I was facing. But I knew that he was there. And I knew that I was important enough for him to, as the song says, come see about me. That I was important enough for him to answer my prayer, to remind me that he is there, to remind me that there is nothing too hard for him, to let me know that I haven't been discarded, that I haven't been cast to the side, that I am as important to him as I had always been. I knew that he was there. I am a photographer. I do a lot of headshots. I do corporate events, and everybody wants to look their best. In photography, there's a saying amongst photographers that you don't take a picture, you create an image. And what that means is that you, as the photographer, are responsible for the image creation process. Any good photographer is going to take that process of creating images quite seriously. Just as through photography, I have to almost painstakingly pay attention to every detail in the image that I create, God has also painstakingly paid attention to every detail in the image that He made in me. Now, we all look different. We all speak differently. We all react differently in certain situations. We all bring different things to the table. But they're all His signature in each and every one of us. So from that point, in my experience with Him, I knew who I was in His eyes. I knew how valuable I was to Him, and all of the little intricacies and the details He created in me, my talents, my skills, they were all His personal signature. And I realized where I find my worth and my value. My name is Mark Denman, and this is my story. What's yours? Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. The problems always go away. They come and they go. And sometimes, because we don't see ourselves in a favorable light, we don't see the image of ourselves that God sees. Sometimes people think that there's just no other way out, and they want to stop the pain and they want to end it all. And if they would just hang on just a little while longer. And my heart breaks when I hear of someone having taken their life, because I think to myself, if I or somebody else who's been in a similar situation could have just gotten to that person and just encouraged them to hold on. This is going to pass. The light will always be at the end of the tunnel. You can make it through to the end of the tunnel, to the light. Just hang on. Tomorrow always comes. And after tomorrow, the next day always comes. And after that day, the next day always comes. And the sun will shine every morning. The sun will shine anew every morning. Sometimes the problems will still be there. Sometimes they won't be as serious or painful as they are today. Sometimes they're gone. But if you don't hold on, you'll never know.